So yeah, I don't think there's any way that I'm gonna be able to stream just because without having like mic echo and me, like it's gonna be annoying. So yeah, I'll have to stop the stream and then figure out what to do about it, I guess, and then come back on because, yeah. 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 Yep, that's what I'm gonna have to do. Maybe? Uh, that's a good idea, Coda, to do a recording. Yeah, I'm gonna have to test it. So unless you all want to sit around and listen to me read you a book, I guess I could do that. uh, I already have a good book I can read. Uh, yeah. I know. Yeah, I know that. What's that? Under settings? Is that under settings? Well, let's hide that. Okay. What's that? Is that under properties? What's that under? The thing for that. Uh, it's under something. Stream information. Isn't that it? No, that's not. Is it? Yeah. Okay. All right. I got. Okay. All right. I got. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting a reading fun, and then okay. I'm gonna read Monkey Paw. The Monkey Paw. It's a pretty good book. It's a short story. Um, Let me look it up first because I don't think I bookmarked it, but it's public domain, so that shit's legal and totally legit. It's totally legit. You can listen to me type loudly. You're welcome for that. Uh, La 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 la. Okay, we'll hit done on that. Okay, there we go. It's updated. Sweet. Let me look for the text here. Because I am totally prepared ahead of time. Don't worry about that. We know what we're doing, and it's very. I'm super prepared. Um, all right, the Gutenberg project. That's what we're gonna because they have a copy of it. I know they do. Okay. All right, we're gonna read that as HTML because we don't need pictures are for losers. Okay, we don't need pictures. Pictures are for dorks. All right. Okay. All right. Pictures are for losers. Well, this book doesn't have pictures anyway, so you don't need pics. You don't need. You don't need fucking diagrams, okay? It's a spoopy book, okay? It's perfect for Halloween because it's spoopy. All right. I thought about this ahead of time because I was sick about reading books for a while. I was gonna dress in Lolita and read books, but we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it right now. And you get a Silent Hill background. That's what you get. All right. Okay. So this is the Monkey's Paw. It's pretty good actually, and spoopy. Okay. Oh, my voice mode. Right. The relaxing voice mode. Yeah. All right. Okay. So, um, without, the night was cold and wet, but in the small parlor of Laburnum Villa, the blinds were drawn and the fire burned brightly. Father and son were at chess. The former, who possessed ideas about the game involving radical changes, putting his king into such sharp and unnecessary perils that it even provoked comment from the white-haired old lady knitting placidly by the fire. "Hark at the wind," said Mr. White, who, having seen a fatal mistake after it was too late, was amiably desirous of preventing his son from seeing it. "I'm listening," said the latter, grimly surveying the board as he stretched out his hand. "Check." "I should hardly think that he'd come tonight," said his father, with his hands poised over the board. "Mate," replied the son. "That's the worst of living so far out," bawled Mr. White, with sudden and unlooked-for violence. "Of all the beastly, slushy, out-of-the-way places to live in, this is the worst. Pathway's a bog, and the road's a torrent. I don't know what people are thinking about. I suppose because only 2 houses in the road are let, they think it doesn't matter." "Never mind, dear," said his wife soothingly. "Perhaps you'll win the next one." Mr. White looked up sharply, just in time to intercept a knowing glance between mother and son. The words died away on his lips, and he hid a guilty grin in his thin, gray beard. We're going to turn Mike down here so he doesn't echo so much because he's so annoying. Love you, Mike. Let's see, where was I? Okay. "There he is," said Herbert White, as the gate banged 2 loudly and heavy footsteps came toward the door. The old man rose with hospitable haste, and opening the door, was heard condoling with the new arrival. The new arrival also condoled with himself, so that Miss White said, and coughed gently as her husband entered the door, followed by a tall, burly man, beady of eye and subcund of visage. "Sergeant Major Morris," he said, introducing him. The sergeant major shook hands, and taking the proffered seat by the fire, watched contentedly while his host got out whiskey in tumblers and stood a small copper kettle on the fire. At the 3rd glass, his eyes got brighter, and he began to talk. The little family circled regarding with eager interest this visitor from distant parts, as he squared his broad shoulders in the chair and spoke of wild scenes and doughty deeds, of wars and plagues and strange peoples. 21 years of it," said Mr. White, nodding at his wife and son. "When he went away, he was a slip of youth in the warehouse. Now look at him." "He don't look to have taken much harm," said Miss White, politely. "I'd like to go to India myself," said the old man, "just to look around a bit, you know." "Better where you are," said the sergeant major, shaking his head, putting down the empty glass and sighing softly, shook it again. "I should like to see those old temples and fikars and jugglers," said the old man. "What was that you started telling me the other day about a monkey's paw or something, Morris?" "Nothing," said the soldier hastily. "Leastways, nothing worth hearing." "Monkey's paw?" said Miss White, curiously. "Well, it's just a bit of what you might call magic, perhaps," said the sergeant major, offhandedly. His 3 listeners leaned forward eagerly, the visitor absent-mindedly putting his empty glass to his lips and then set it down again. His host filled it for him. "To look at," said the sergeant major, fumbling in his pocket, "it's just an ordinary little paw, dried to a mummy." He took something out of his pocket and proffered it. Miss White drew back with a grimace, but her son, taking it, examined it curiously. "And what is there special about it?" inquired Mr. White, as he took it from his son, having examined it, placed it upon the table. "It had a spell put on it by an old fakir," said the sergeant major. "A very holy man. He wanted to show that fate ruled people's lives, and that those who interfered with it did so to their sorrow. He put a spell on it so that 3 separate men could each have 3 wishes from it." His manner was so impressive that his hearers were conscious that their light laughter jarred somewhat. "Well, why don't you have 3, sir?" said Mr. Herbert White cleverly. The soldier regarded him in the way that middle-aged is wont to regard presumptuous youth. "I have," he said quietly, and his blotchy face whitened. "And did you really have the 3 wishes granted?" asked Miss White. "I did," said the sergeant major, and his glass tapped against his strong teeth. "And has anybody else wished?" persisted the old lady. "The first man had his 3 wishes." "Yes," was the reply. "I don't know what the first 2 were, but the 3rd was for death. That's how I got the paw." His tones were so grave that a hush fell upon the group. "If you've had your 3 wishes, it's no good to you now, then, Morris," said the old man at last. "What do you keep it for?" The soldier shook his head. "Fancy, I suppose," he said slowly. "I did have some idea of selling it, but I don't think I will. It has caused enough mischief already. Besides, people won't buy. They think it's a fairy tale, some of them, and those who do think anything of it want to try it first and pay me afterwards." "If you could have another 3 wishes," said the old man, eyeing him keenly, "would you have them?" "I don't know," said the other. "I don't know." He took the paw, and dangling it between his forefinger and thumb, suddenly threw it upon the fire. White, with a slight cry, stooped down and snatched it off. "Better let it burn," said the soldier solemnly. "If you don't want it, Morris," said the other, "give it to me." "I won't," said his friend doggedly. "I threw it on the fire. If you keep it, don't blame me for what happens. Pitch it on the fire again like a sensible man." The other shook his head and examined his new possession closely. "How do you do it?" he inquired. "Hold it up in your right hand and wish aloud," said the sergeant major. "But I warn you of the consequences." "Sounds like the Arabian Nights," said Miss White as she rose and began to set the supper. "Don't you think you might wish for 4 pairs of hands for me?" Her husband drew the talisman from the pocket, and then all 3 burst into laughter as the sergeant major, with a look of alarm on his face, caught him by the arm. "If you must wish," he said gruffly, "wish for something sensible." Mr. White dropped it back in his pocket, and placing chairs, motioned his friend to the table. In the business of the supper, the talisman was partly forgotten, and afterward the 3 sat listening in an enthralled fashion to a second installment of the soldier's adventures in India. "If the tale about the monkey's paw is not more truthful than those he has been telling us," said Herbert, as the door closed behind their guest, just in time for him to catch the last train, "we shan't make much use out of it." "Did you give him anything for it, father?" inquired Miss White, regarding her husband closely. "A trifle," he said, coloring slightly. "He didn't want it, but I made him take it, and he pressed me again to throw it away." "Likely," said Herbert, with pretend horror. "Why, we're going to be rich and famous and happy. Wish to be an emperor, father, to begin with. Then you can't be henpicked." He darted round the table, pursued by the maligned Miss White, armed with an antimacassar. Miss White took the paw from his pocket and eyed it dubiously. "I don't know what to wish for, and that's a fact," he said slowly. "It seems to me I've got all I want." "If you've only cleared the house, you'd be quite happy, wouldn't you?" said Herbert, with his hand on his shoulder. "Well, wish for £200 then. That'll just do it." "Yep, it's popcorn time. This is an interesting book. It's actually pretty good." His father, smiling, shamefaced at his own credulity, held up the talisman, as his son, with a solemn face somewhat marred by a wink at his mother, sat down at the piano, and struck a few impressive chords. "I wish for 200 pounds," said the old man, distinctly. A fine crash from the piano greeted the words, interrupted by a shuddering cry from the old man. His wife and son ran towards him. "It moved!" he cried, with a glance of disgust at the object as it lay on the floor. "As I wished, it twisted in my hands like a snake." "Well, I don't see the money," said his son, as he picked it up and placed it on the table, "and I bet I never shall." "It must have been your fancy, father," said his wife, regarding him anxiously. He took his head. "Never mind, though. There's no harm done, and it gave me a shock all the same." They sat down by the fire again while the two men finished their pipes. Outside, the wind was higher than ever, and the old man started nervously at the sound of a door banging upstairs. A silence unusual and depressing settled upon the three, which lasted until the old couple retired for the night. "I expect you'll find the cash tied up in a big bag in the middle of your bed," said Herbert, as he bade them good night, "and something horrible squatting upon it at the top of the wardrobe, watching you as you pocket your ill-gotten gains." He sat alone in the darkness, gazing at the dying fire and seeing faces in it. The last face was so horrible and so simian that he gazed at it in amazement. It got so vivid that, with a light, uneasy laugh, he felt on the table for a glass containing a little water to throw over it. His hand grasped the monkey's paw, and with a little shiver he wiped his hand on his coat and went up to bed. Doom, doom, doom. In the brightness of the wintry sun next morning, as it streamed over the breakfast table, he laughed at his fears. There was an air of prosaic wholesomeness about the room which it had lacked on the previous night, and the dirty, shriveled little paw was pitched on the sideboard with a carelessness which betokened no great belief in its virtues. "I suppose all those old soldiers are the same," said Miss White. "The idea of listening to such nonsense. How could wishes be granted in these days? And if they could, how could 200 pounds hurt you, father?" "Might drop on his head from the sky," said the frivolous Herbert. "Morris said the things happen so naturally," said his father, "that you might, if you wished so, attribute it to coincidence." "Well, don't break into the money before I come back," said Herbert, as he rose from the table. "I'm afraid it'll turn you into mean, avaricious man, and we shall have to disown you." His mother laughed and followed him to the door, watching him down the road, and returning to the breakfast table was so very happy at the expense of her husband's credulity. All of which did not prevent her from scurrying to the door at the postman's knock, nor prevent her from referring somewhat shortly to a retired sergeant major's of biblious habits when she found that the post brought a tailor's bill. "Herbert will have some more of his funny remarks, I expect, when he comes home," she said, as they sat at dinner. "I dare say," said Mr. White, pouring himself out some beer, "but for all of that, the thing moved in my hands. That I'll swear to." "You thought it did," said the old lady, soothingly. "I say it did," replied the other. "There was no thought about it. I had just... What's the matter?" His wife made no reply. She was watching the mysterious movements of a man outside who, peering in an undecided fashion at the house, appeared to be trying to make up his mind to enter. In mental connection with the 200 pounds, she noted that the stranger was well dressed and wore a silk hat of glossy newness. 3 times he paused at the gate, and then walked on again. The 4th time he stood with his hands upon it, and then with sudden resolution flung it open and walked up the path. Miss White, at the same moment, placed her hands behind her, and hurriedly unfastening the strings of her apron, put that useful article of apparel beneath the cushion of her chair. She brought the stranger, who seemed ill at ease, into the room. He gazed at her furtively, and listened in a preoccupied fashion as the old lady apologized for the appearance of the room and her husband's coat, a garment which he usually reserved for the garden. She then waited as patiently as her sex would permit for him to broach his business, but he was at first strangely silent. "I was asked to call," he said at last, and stooped and picked a piece of cotton from his trousers. "I come from Ma and Megan's." The old lady started. "Is anything the matter?" she asked, breathlessly. "Has anything happened to Herbert? What is it? What is it?" Her husband interposed. There, mother," he said hastily. "Sit down and don't jump to conclusions. You've not brought bad news, I'm sure, sir." And he eyed the other wistfully. "I'm sorry," began the visitor. "Is he hurt?" demanded the mother wildly. The visitor bowed in assent. "Badly hurt," he said quietly, "but he's not in any pain." "Oh, thank God," said the woman, clasping her hands. "Thank God for that. Thank—" She broke off suddenly as the sinister meaning of the insurance dawned upon her, and she saw the awful confirmation of her fears in the other's averted face. She caught her breath, and turning to her slower-witted husband, laid her trembling old hand upon his. There was a long silence. "He was caught in the machinery," said the visitor at length, in a low voice. "Caught in the machinery?" repeated Mr. Waite, in a dazed fashion. "Yes." He sat staring blankly out the window, and taking his wife's hand between his own, pressed it as he had been wont to do in their old courting days nearly 40 years before. "He was the only one left to us," he said, turning gently to the visitor. "It is hard." The other coughed and, rising, walked slowly to the window. "The firm wished for me to convey their sincere sympathy with you in your great loss," he said, without looking round. "I beg that you will understand I am only their servant and merely obeying their orders." There was no reply. The old woman's face was white, her eyes staring, and her breath inaudible. On the husband's face was a look such as his friends the sergeant might have carried into his first action. "I was to say that Ma and Megan's disclaim all responsibility," continued the other. "They admit no liability at all, but in consideration of your son's services, they wish to present you with a certain sum of compensation." Mr. White dropped his wife's hands, and, rising to his feet, gazed with a look of horror at his visitor. His dry lips shaped the words, "How much?" £200 was the answer. Unconscious of his wife's shriek, the old man smiled faintly, put out his hands like a sightless man, and dropped a senseless heap to the floor. In the huge new cemetery, some 2 miles distant, the old people buried their dead and came back to a house steeped in shadow and silence. It was all over so quickly that at first they could hardly realize it, and remained in a state of expectation, as though of something else to happen, something else which was to lighten this load, too heavy for old hearts to bear. But the days passed, and expectation gave place to resignation, the hopeless resignation of the old, sometimes miscalled apathy. Sometimes they hardly exchanged a word, for now they had nothing to talk about, and their days were long to weariness. It was about a week after the old man, waking suddenly in the night, stretched out his hands and found himself alone. The room was in darkness, and the sound of subdued weeping came from the window. He raised himself in bed and listened. "Come back," he said tenderly. "You'll be cold." "It is colder for my son," said the old woman, and wept afresh. The sounds of her sobs died on his ears. The bed was warm and his eyes heavy with sleep. He dozed fitfully and then slept until a sudden wild cry from his wife awoke him with a start. "The paw!" she cried silently. "The monkey's paw!" He started up in alarm. "Where? Where is it? What's the matter?" She came stumbling across the room toward it. "I want it," she said quietly. You've not destroyed it? It's in the parlor on the bracket, he replied, marveling. Why? She cried and laughed together, and bending over, kissed his cheek. I only just thought of it, she said hysterically. Why didn't I think of it before? Why didn't you think of it? Think of what? He questioned. The other 2 wishes, she replied rapidly. We've only had one. Was that not enough? He demanded fiercely. No, she cried triumphantly. We'll have one more. Go down and get it quickly and wish our boy alive again. The man sat up in bed and flung the bedclothes from his quaking limbs. Good God, you are mad, he cried aghast. Get it, she panted. Get it quickly and wish, oh, my boy, my boy. Her husband struck a match and lit the candle. Get back to bed, he said unsteadily. You don't know what you are saying. We had the first wish granted, said the old woman feverishly. Why not the second? A coincidence, stammered the old man. Go and get it and wish, cried his wife, quavering with excitement. The old man turned and regarded her, and his voice shook. He has been dead 10 days, and besides, I would not tell you else, but I could only recognize him by his clothes. If he was too terrible for you to see then, how now? Bring him back, cried the old woman, and dragged him towards the door. Do you think I fear the child I have nursed? He went down in the darkness and felt his way to the parlor, and then to the mantelpiece. The talisman was in its place, and a horrible fear that the unspoken wish might bring his mutilated son before him ere he could escape from the room seized upon him, and he caught his breath as he found that he had lost the direction of the door. His brow cold with sweat, he felt his way round the table and groped along the wall until he found himself in the small passage with the unwholesome thing in his hand. Even his wife's face seemed changed as he entered the room. It was white and expectant, and to his fears seemed to have an unnatural look upon it. He was afraid of her. Wish, she cried in a strong voice. It is foolish and wicked, he faltered. Wish, repeated his wife. He raised his hand. I wish my son alive again. The talisman fell to the floor, and he regarded it fearfully. Then he sank trembling into a chair as the old woman, with burning eyes, walked to the window and raised the blind. He sat until he was chilled with cold, glancing occasionally at the figure of the old woman peering through the window. The candle end, which had burned below the rim of the china candlestick, was throwing pulsating shadows on the ceiling and wall until, with a flicker larger than the rest, it expired. The old man, with an unspeakable sense of relief at the failure of the talisman, crept back to his bed, and a minute or two afterward the old woman came silently and apathetically behind him. Neither spoke, but lay silently listening to the ticking of the clock. A stair creaked, and a squeaky mouse scurried noisily through the wall. The darkness was oppressive, and after lying for some time, screwing up his courage, he took the box of matches, and striking one, went downstairs for a candle. At the foot of the stairs the match went out, and he paused to strike another, and at the same moment a knock, so quiet and stealthy as to be scarcely audible, sounded on the front door. The matches fell from his hands and spilled in the passage. He stood motionless, his breath suspended until the knock was repeated, and then he turned and fled swiftly back to his room and closed the door behind him. A third knock sounded through the house. "What's that?" cried the old woman, starting up. "A rat," said the old man in his shaking tones. A rat. It passed me on the stairs." His wife sat up in the bed listening. A loud knock resounded through the house. "It's Herbert!" she cried. "It's Herbert!" She ran to the door, but her husband was before her, and catching her by the arm, held her tightly. "What are you going to do?" he whispered hoarsely. "It's my boy. It's Herbert!" she cried, struggling mechanically. "I forgot it was 2 miles away. What are you holding me for? Let me go. I must open the door." "For God's sake, don't let him in," cried the old man, trembling. You're afraid of your own son? She cried, struggling. Let me go. I'm coming, Herbert. I'm coming. There was another knock, and another. The old woman, with a sudden wrench, broke free and ran from the room. Her husband followed to the landing and called after her appealingly as she hurried down the stairs. He heard the chain rattle back and the bottom bolt drawn slowly and stiffly from the socket. The old woman's voice straining and panting. The bolt, she cried loudly. Come down. I can't reach it. But her husband was on his hands and knees, groping wildly on the floor in search of the paw. If he could only find it before the thing got in. A perfect fusillade of knocks reverberated through the house, and he heard the scraping of a chair as his wife put it down in the passage against the door. He heard the creaking of the bolt as it came slowly back, and at the same moment he found the monkey's paw and frantically breathed his third and last wish. The knocking ceased suddenly, although the echoes of it were still in the house. He heard the chair drawn back and the door opened. A cold wind rushed up the staircase, and a long, loud wail of disappointment and misery from his wife gave him the courage to run down to her side, and then to the gate beyond. The street lamp, flickering opposite, shone on a quiet and deserted road. That's it, bitches. That's the end. That's the end of the book. That's the end of the story. Yep. Yeah, it's a short story. I don't know. I thought it would be more logical to do a short. I mean, arguably, but I think the idea is that anytime the thing gives you a wish, it gives you like the worst version of that wish. So you get what you want, right? But like, super bad. Yeah. Yep. That's why the friend wanted to burn it, because he was like, yeah, I got all my wishes, but they were fucking terrible. So, but I mean, I guess arguably, yeah, it could be considered a waste of it. I mean, maybe there would be a way to like get what you wanted without like having it go like super bad, but I don't know if I'd be willing to take the risk, you know what I mean? But so yeah, so there we go. See, I read you all a story. Okay, well, I gotta figure out what's wrong with the game, okay? Jeez. It is a classic, yeah. Yeah, I'll have to fiddle with that. But yeah, it is the Monkey's Paw is a classic. It's a really good one. I think it's good anyways. Mike clearly doesn't like it, I guess. The story. It's a classic, you know? It's that the story I just read. Yeah, it's good, right? Um there's that one. There's that one. There's also the yellow wallpaper. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that one. That one's a little longer than this one. 50s? Like 1850s? I think it was actually written in the 1800s, yeah. So, I'm not sure when it was written exactly, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good one. It was kind of like between this one and the yellow wallpaper, because there's another one that's kind of good that's called the yellow wallpaper, about this woman who moves uh, into the country, in a house in the countryside, because she's supposedly like sickly, and by sickly they mean hysteric, aka probably depressed or something. And then she like fucking totally loses her shit. She becomes like completely obsessed with the yellow wallpaper in her room and the way it's peeling, and like she just fucking loses it. It's pretty good actually. So there's that one, and then there's this one. Are probably two of the best public domain horror books. But yeah, but I went with this one because it's a little shorter. You know what I mean? So the other ones I think is a little longer than this one. Yeah. But yeah, I'll have to figure out what's going on with my audio and how to get it to stream only the games so that we're not streaming echoes of everything. And I'll figure that out next time, I guess. But yeah. But yeah. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Yeah, I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll actually dress in Lilith fashion and read another book to you guys. You never know. You never know. Maybe I'll lose my mind one day. Yeah? Yeah, I could do that sometime. Yeah, boy. No, I think he changed. Didn't Coda change it to that other one, right? The this slaps. The yeah boy sound. Didn't he change it to the slaps or something? I think so. I think so. Either. Oh, can you guys actually hear Mike? I don't remember if I have Mike on audio or not. Probably not, right? Wait. Because I don't have desktop on, do I? There we go. Sorry, Mike.
No,
Okay, I fix it. Okay, you can all hear Mike talking now. I forgot I had it off. Alright, you're allowed to talk. We're allowing you to speak now, Mike. You can have input again.
so I have a voice now, do I?
Yeah, you're allowed. You're allowed. You're allowed. All right, Mike's allowed to talk again. So
I'm freaking out, you know.
I forgot about it.
You,
Sorry.
you just took away my voice, you know. You just took away it.
I forgot.
You throwed it in the trash. You know, you got rid of it.
I
It was
forgot.
like it was yesterday's news. You know what I
Well, I'm
mean?
sorry. It wasn't that important, so I forgot. I'm sorry. It really didn't add that much to the stream, so I just forgot about it. I'm sorry.
Well, it doesn't matter because I wasn't saying anything during your reading of the book anyway. So
No, it was only like this last little bit where you said you liked the book, and then we just talked about BS for several minutes that we missed out on. So it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. He didn't contribute anything important that you guys missed out on, anyways. So don't worry about it.
no, except Kella's boy. Kella, I'm going to ask you again, okay? Because apparently I was fucking muted by somebody. Um, do you still have the boy emo thing? Just to what we call it, or have you replaced it with something else?
I thought he replaced it with this slaps. Yeah, the OBS reaction. He means. I think.
Yeah, it's basically a thing with the point. You can use the points to do like a boy, like a boy, you know that kind of thing. But it's it's Ainsley, right? It used to be Ainsley that used to come up, the black guy,
Oh.
and say do his little thing, right?
Yeah, Kodo already responded. Did you read it?
Yeah, I'm just reading it now. Ah, right, yeah, just it triggers again. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
What are you going to do now, Numna?
Me?
Yeah.
End the stream and I guess figure out how to get the audio to play only for the game. Then if I figured it out, then I'll try and stream the game.
I think if you can get your mic and Discord to go on Voicemeeter in different channels, then I think you can separate the audio, from like desktop audio.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure. I'm gonna have to work on that. If I get to work it tonight, maybe I'll stream tonight. Otherwise, I'll do it next time. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm probably gonna. I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna end the stream for now. At least you all got a nice audio book with Emily moment here. So there's that. Wasn't a total waste of time. See, so you welcome. Oh, I think Jess went to did Jess go to bed already? Sorry, I just saw that.
You're not a good streamer, are you? You're not paying attention to chat.
Well, I have been. I just didn't. Yeah.
You're out of practice, aren't you? That's what it is.
Well, yeah. Obviously, when was the last time I streamed? A year or two ago. But at least she got a nice book before she went to bed. See, someone read her a story if she went to bed, so that's nice, right? So
Probably what sent her to sleep.
it wasn't really that scary. wasn't like a really scary story, you know what I mean? It's more like just eerie. I think I actually streamed Silent Hill 3 last, maybe? Or Fatal Frame, one of the two. That was before I restored my computer, though, so that's the only thing.
No, I think Dead Space was before the last one she streamed. Um, didn't you? Yeah, I think you streamed Dead Space, didn't you?
I have streamed Dead Space, yeah, the Wii version.
Yeah, but that was like but before like your pre subsequent one.
Yeah, the last one I did was I might have been Fatal Frame. It was either Fatal Frame or Silent Hill, but I'm thinking it was Fatal Frame. But yeah, so I'll try and fix this, and maybe I could go because I don't know if you saw they released a whole bunch of new Silent Hill games. So I'd like to like stream the Silent Hill games. Because yeah, well they didn't release them
Oh,
yet. They're going to release them. They announced them. So
have you told Codes about the new news about Silent Hill?
yeah, I said earlier in the stream about it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna
Uh,
release a new movie, and they're gonna release a remake of Silent Hill 2 on PlayStation 5 and PC. And they're gonna make this game called Silent Hill F, which is actually set in Japan, which is kind of interesting. And they're gonna make a new Silent Hill game, and they're gonna make some kind of like interactive live stream thing. And then they're also gonna make a movie for Silent Hill 2, like as a movie. So they like supposedly they've announced a bunch of stuff that they're gonna release. So I'm gonna play. I would like to maybe play through all the Silent Hill games that I have. I have some kind of rare ones too. Like I have Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the PS2, and also Silent Hill Origins for the PS2. Which currently, if you wanted to buy them on eBay, go for like $100 to $200 each. Yeah, they're pretty rare. I'll tell you how I got them. They are rare, yes, because most people did not buy them because obviously, like, the Wii version of Shattered Memories had better graphics than the PS2 version, and most people bought Silent Hill Origins on the PSP. Now, I did not have the Shattered Memories on the PSP, but I did have it on the Wii and the PS2. I bought the PS2 one first, and then I got a Wii, and then I bought it for the Wii because I just wanted to play it with the better graphics. Now, the true nerd shit comes out when I tell you about why I have the Silent Hill 2 Origins game. So this is really fucking nerdy. But I actually bought it on the PSP first, which was the most popular version. And then I was like, I want to know if the PS2 version is exactly the same as the PSP version. So I got both versions and I played through both of them multiple times so that I can compare whether the PS2 version and the PSP version were different in any way whatsoever.
that, that's like that sketch in IT Crowd where he goes like
Yeah, where he
where he
bought
says,
the two
yeah,
versions of
but
the Harry Potter book to compare.
yeah, the adult version to the normal version, right?
Yeah,
And to
yeah,
see
yeah,
whether
yeah.
there's any difference in the text.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, yeah, people really do that in real life, and I know this because I did it in real life. I did that. That's a thing I did. I bought two different versions of the same game so that I could take notes about the difference. Do you want to know what the difference between the two versions are, by the way, in case you wanted to know that? Nothing. They're exactly the same. It's an exact port. There's no difference. There's literally no difference whatsoever. Everything's exactly the same. So, did I pay an additional $50 to find that out like a fucking nerd? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. That's a real thing I've done in my life. Oh, that's yeah. Anyways, true nerd confessions. There you go. That's a thing. So yeah, I bet you I could probably play Silent Hill 3 and maybe Silent Hill 2 within like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Like I could basically almost speed run it. Like that's how like no glitch speed run can like no glitch speed run that shit cuz I've done it cuz I've played it so many times that I actually have like whole pieces of it just fucking memorized. I had not played it in I don't know, maybe 5 years all the way through, and I played it all the way through recently. And I completed it, I think, in like maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. Silent Hill 3. So, yeah, I could probably, if I really, really wanted to, I could probably complete the entire game in one stream. Like, realistically. Like, in approximately 2 hours, give or take. Maybe less, maybe more, depending on how lucky I am and how much I remember. Yeah, so yeah, I played this game. I played Silent Hill 3 so many times that I actually memorized the sound of the sound effects and what level they were located on, and I could compare them to sounds in real life. This is why I got bullied so much as a kid. I'm not gonna. I remember one time I was in class and this girl like opened a door and it squeaked just like one of the doors in Silent Hill. And my nerd ass was like, wow, that sounded exactly like the sound effect that plays in the hospital level when you go in XYZ. I don't remember which one it was, but like this was like in high school. It sounds exactly like that. As a real. As a real thing, I actually said out loud to another human being.
Yeah, there's no helping him, I'm afraid. You're beyond help.
Uh. the, you just have to envision somebody who was a combo of that, and then also I used to like be obsessed with Japanese street fashions and anime. So I would like say shit like that, and then I would also carry around my Gothic and Lolita Bible everywhere I went. Like everywhere I went. I was just a ball of like nerdy mass chaos. Like there's just trash would follow me everywhere. Like just all drawings, like hundreds of drawings, and just like it would just be my nerd ass like with my PSP in one hand and my fucking Gothic Lolita Bible in another, and I'd be like, that sounds
So
like the sound effects on this level.
what's Lolita Bible? Is that
So
what is that?
the Gothic and Lolita Bible isn't published anymore, but in the early 2000s to like, I think it ended in the mid 2010s or something like that. It was basically like a magazine that was focused solely on Lolita and Gothic fashion mostly. With a few like visual kei, that kind of thing in there, but it was mostly like Lolita and Gothic fashions. It was basically the magazine that you had to buy if you were into Lolita fashion. I had like one of them that was in Japanese. That actually, I think I had two of the Japanese ones that I had to import from Japan. Like, I couldn't read it. I just looked at the pictures because I was like obsessed. And then there for a while they actually published it in English as well, which I had one of. Now, of course, my nerd ass has every single one of the English ones that were released, and they only released like four of them. Tokyo popped in, and then it went out of business or something, and they stopped making as much money, so they stopped releasing them. I have all four of the English ones they released, and like a bunch of the Japanese ones. I would like to buy every single one because I'm an obsessive weirdo like that. But that's neither here nor there. Anyways, I used to carry this magazine everywhere with me. Everywhere. Like a fucking nerd. I'm that, and I also would read like fucking Victorian books. This is why I got bullied so hard as a kid, because I was a fucking nerd, bro. I was just the nerdiest. Just straight nerd time. Can't be helped.
Yeah, you're definitely a bona fide, classified, 100% nerd.
For sure. I can't even pretend like that's not the case. Because I
No,
definitely am. Yeah.
no, you can't pretend because you just are, that's the...
I definitely am. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. It's really bad. Like, it's really bad. Like, I'm in, like, the later stages of nerddom. I'm like at the level where like everybody bullies you and they like give you a wedgie. That's me. That's the level I'm at. That's me. On the plus side, at least I don't like. At least I'm not such a weeb anymore that like I try and call teachers sensei and shit like that anymore. Cause that's, oh, oof, 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 oof. And then try and like glomp people. Oh my god. Do you
Well,
remember glomping, Coda?
what's clumping?
Glomping, like glomp.
Well, I realize it's just like a blob kind of thing, but
No, no, it's not. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of that shit is super fun. Like glomping is kind of fun. Um, you know, but it's when you like run up to someone and then you like jump on them and kind of hug them and you're like, I glomped you. That's what glomping is. It's a weeb
yeah,
thing.
but
You'd never understand, Mike. You would never understand.
the code says to save people, so you wouldn't do this to just anybody then.
No, well, because you're hugging someone. You're like jump hugging someone, basically. But people back in the day used to do it to like everybody. I did not because I don't like being touched. I have a thing about that. I just don't like it. It would drive me crazy. But some people would do it to like everybody. Oh, and I used to call myself Emmy Chan. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I added Chan as my nickname because that's so fucking cool, right?
Is there any reason why you had the name Emmy-chan
Be-
besides it looking cool?
because like that's what you call friends in Japanese, and I love anime, and I'm gonna move to Japan and be a real. I'm gonna be a real anime girl in real life one day. That's for sure. That's why.
Right.
That's why.
The cringe is real.
Oh my god, you don't even know, man. You do not even know. Like, anime is like mainstream now, you know what I mean? But like, back in the day, if you were into anime, you were just all cringe all the time. Like, everyone was like openly cringy. We didn't even pretend like we were cool because we know we were not cool. Now you could kind of like say, "Oh yeah, I like the aesthetic of anime," and they'd be like, people would be like, "Yeah, okay, that's normal." But back in the day, like if you said you liked anime, that's it. That was like the kiss of death for your social life. You just did it anyways because fuck it, I don't care. So, like, back in the day, the anime fandom was way cringier than it is now. And we just didn't fucking care because we knew that no one liked us. We knew that if you said that you liked to draw anime or that you had a favorite anime, that you just like didn't, no one was gonna think you were cool, okay? No one would think you were cool, okay? Kids these days who like anime will never understand the struggle. That's what I'm saying. Like, anime is like mainstream now, but it wasn't back in the day. Like, I can honestly say I didn't know that many people who actually liked anime like at the same time as I did. And I definitely got bullied for that, along with a ton of other things. It was one of those things that either you liked it and you were just honest about it and you just accepted the fact that you were a social pariah, or you would hide it. There was no in between there. You were either a closet anime nerd or you were openly an anime nerd and you just accepted the fact that you were a social pariah. I was a social pariah anyways, so I was like, fuck it, that's right, I like anime. What are you bitches gonna do about it? You know, when you got nothing to lose, you know what I mean? Who cares?
I guess when you go to Area 51, you kind of, you know, you're at the last resort anyway. So
Well, no, don't you remember the whole Area 51 thing, Mike? It was like a big meme on the internet that they
that
were
could
gonna.
be anything. Don't you remember the Area 51 thing? You know, there's a load of things about Area 51, right? It's like,
This was recent. This was recent. Like, there was like
right,
a big thing about how they were gonna like break into Area 51 because they thought they were keeping like
yeah,
aliens
military
there.
secret.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
they wanted to get some of that alien Beginer.
technology.
No,
Yeah.
Beginer. They wanted the
Oh,
alien Beginer.
China.
They they wanted they
China specifically.
yeah, they wanted to free the alien cat girls and get a little, you know what I mean? That's why they wanted to break in.
Oh God, what's the
So
word? Come just.
so they had planned to get a bunch of people to like Naruto run into Area 51 to free the cat girls. Um so the day I watched this whole documentary about like what happened that day too. So like the day of, two people were running parties. The one guy organized a party that was in Las Vegas, I think, actually, and the other one was like this lady. They were originally supposed to be running the same party together, but I guess him and this woman got in an argument. Like the guy who was organizing the original Naruto Area 51 run and the woman who was helping him got in an argument. So they created two different parties for the same thing, and then one was in like Las Vegas and was like really big, and the other one was like apparently terrible, and it had like fucking nothing in it, and it was like in the middle of goddamn nowhere. And then of course there was like maybe two or three people who actually showed up to Area 51 to do the run, but basically no one actually showed up to it because it turns out that it was a meme and everyone knew it was a meme, except the one or two reporters that actually went there expecting people to actually Naruto run into Area 51 to get alien Beginer.
Yeah, now I'm with you.
Yes. I can't believe you didn't know about this, Mike.
Well, I don't follow the alien conspiracy kind of stuff, you know.
Well, yeah, because it's, like a highly protected military base. So, of course, like, you know, if you actually try to break in there, they were gonna, like, fucking shoot them. Um, but let's be real, no one was actually gonna do it. Come on. Well, maybe like one or two people, because usually, there's always that, like, one stupid guy who's actually stupid enough to believe that the meme is real and, like, do it. Yeah. Like that meme that for what was it, iPhones, that they, like, sent this update. There was this meme going around that they, like, sent an update to iPhones that if you microwave the iPhone, it will it will charge the iPhone.
Charge the iPhone. I guess there's some truth in that, I guess.
No, there's not. No, there's not. Because what would happen is they would put some people actually did this. And of course, and I know you're going to be surprised.
But
Yeah,
isn't there
it blew
devices
up.
though that you can charge just by simply putting it near something?
Yeah, that's not a microwave mic.
Right, right.
Like, phones have lithium batteries in them, and if you have, like, a lithium battery thermal runaway event, it's fucking really dangerous and can explode.
So was this just a ploy to get like all iPhone users to just kind of like destroy their phones, basically?
Yes, that's exactly what it was for, yes.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yes, and it worked. Some people actually did this. It was bad enough that, like, the news and Apple had to put out, like, messages telling people not to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
induction charging. Yeah, that's not the same as sticking the phone in your microwave. You can't make that up. You just can't. That was
Production charges, yeah.
both of all of like both of those things, the iPhone thing and I think the Area 51 thing, came from 4chan. I'm pretty sure they both came from 4chan, to be honest.
I have no fucking idea.
You never heard of 4chan?
No. Am I supposed to?
Yeah,
Why?
because it's important to the history of internet.
Is it?
Yeah.
4chan.
Yeah, 4chan.
Um, it's not ringing any bells.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Can't believe I've never heard of it.
Well, explain it to me. Well, what does why is 4chan?
It's like an anonymous chat site that is known for being, like, just completely fucked up. I mean, they have, like, normal channels on there, but because it's anonymous, like, there's some wild shit that goes down in 4chan, and they're the ones who, like, Photoshop together an advert to make it seem like you could charge your iPhone in a microwave and then put it out and got people to believe that shit. They
This
also,
is this modern kind of this is happening today, right?
yeah, it's been around for ages, 4chan.
Yeah, that's why I don't know about it because I don't take an interest in what goes on today. So
It's not that modern. It's been around since, like, the 2000s at least,
yeah,
if not the
I stopped paying
90s.
attention in the 2000s.
It was based, it's like an iteration of, like, 2chan. 2chan came first, which was the Japanese version, and then there was 4chan. Now there's, like, a bunch of other ones like Lane Chan. Fun fact, Lane Chan is one where But yeah. Oh, 2003. Okay, yeah, so 2003. Yeah,
Did
8chan.
you, did you Google that, codes? I can't believe you know the exact fucking date of that.
Isn't 8chan the one where it's just like porn? Am I wrong? Added to in what way, Coda? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah, but it's like a type of like the Chan forums are like a type of anonymous chat forum that I think started with 2chan. I could be wrong. And was like Japanese. But they've done like a lot of like fascinating and also sometimes fucked up stuff. Like it's a real case study for the internet as a whole. Let's just put it that way. It's an interesting location. But yeah, that's the place where the I know for a fact the iPhone thing started there. And I think the Area 51 thing also started there. All these like really like epic trolling ridiculousness stuff definitely, I swear, all starts on 4chan.
Oh, you kids are so young, aren't you?
I'm 35, Mike.
Um, okay, here's the thing, okay, because when I was on IRC and all that kind of stuff, back in the day, and BBS sites, we had this kind of stuff, right? We had like news feeds that you could join. You know, you could just join certain news feeds. I can't remember what they were called, but you
No
could
one
join them,
said that
and they had
4chan
like
of.
really suspicious stuff, like really, like hacking tutorials, like
Bro,
how to hack computers, stuff like that.
no one said
All
4chan
kind
was
of
like the
stuff.
first place to ever do this stuff. It's just like the some of the most historically significant internet memes and events have happened there. That's all we're saying.
I don't know. I mean, like when they
What do you mean
first
you don't
happened,
know? The
that's
answer is
quite
yes. We literally told you two of them.
it's quite historical. The first time it happened, you know what I
We're
mean?
not saying that that's not what we're doing. Look, Mike, we know that back in your day you had to walk uphill to school both ways barefoot, but no one's talking about that right now. Thank you very much.
Well, how about I raise my finger to you?
Okay, well, no one can see that. I just hope you know that.
Well, I see it, and I see what it represents, right? And
Yeah, no
I'm
one
giving
cares.
it.
Yeah, along along broken glass. And we liked it. And we liked it. Back in my day, we had to walk uphill in the snow with our feet bare with just some tar and broken glass strewn all the way to school. And that's when we would be allowed to use the internet. And then we would have to walk back uphill to get home again. And we liked it.
But back in my day, we didn't have fucking internet. That only happened later.
Back in my day. Yeah, yeah, okay, old man. All right, boomer.
I'm not a boomer. I'm an X is it?
Okay,
X.
boomer.
Anyway,
Okay, Boomer, no one wants to hear your stories.
I'm not a boomer.
Back in my day when we used Twitter, we used actual birds. Back in my day, we had to personally train pigeons to send out to be able to tweet each other. Okay, okay.
Okay, kids.
That's what we had to do back in my day. God.
Are you done now? Are you full with like taking the piss out of me?
No, never. That's never gonna happen.
Uh,
Boop 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 boop. Boop 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 boop. Boop 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 doop. Doop boop boop doop. What are you laughing about, bitch?
I'm just laughing if somebody came into the stream right now, they'd be going like, just
What the
hearing like,
hell is this?
boo da boo da boop, boo da
Boop
boo
boop boop doop.
boop.
Boop 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 doop. They'd be like, what book is this? Boop 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 doop. Boop 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 doop. Boop 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 doop. Boop 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 doop. Boop 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 doop boop boop. Boop 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 boop. Boop 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 doop boop boop. Sninga jinga danga boop boop boop. Doop doop doop.
You got to sing it.
Sninga dinga danga bing boom boop. Doot doot doot. Snoop boop boop. Hoo hoo hoo. Doot doot doot. Boop 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 doop. Boop boop doop. Boop 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 doop.
What is that song that you're singing, by the way?
Fucking nothing. It's just some random shit I've been making up.
Uh,
Why you act like that's a real song? It's not.
well, it does sound like a real song, actually.
It's because I'm so talented. uh,
Yeah, I don't know about that.
bitch. You bitch. How dare you?
You've got some work to do, yeah. Let's put it over.
Takes balls coming from you. Boop,
Well,
boop,
you
boop,
know,
boop,
if you just do boop boop da boop 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 da boop
boop,
boop.
boop, 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 doop, boop, boop, doop, snoop, boop, boop, doop, doop, boop, boop, doop, snoop, boop, boop, doop, 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 boop, 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 doop, snoop, boop, boop, doop, doop, boop, boop, doop, boop, boop, boop,
You're off
doop.
your head, aren't you?
No,
That's what you are. You totally fucking lost it, haven't you?
what, my sanity?
Yeah, you've totally lost your sanity,
I
haven't you?
never had it in the first place. You can't lose things you never had.
Oh, that is true, yeah.
Boop, 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 doop. Boop, 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 doop. Boop, 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 doop. Doop, boop, boop, doop. Boop, 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 doop. Boop, 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 doop. You know what this makes me think of? One time when I was in college, I wanted to change my ringtone. So I recorded myself doing all of the parts of the Sonic the Hedgehog song, the one that plays during Casino Realm.
So, yeah, I remember Casino.
Yeah, you know the one that's like do 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 boo 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 doo boo boo boo. Okay, so I did every single part myself,
Yeah.
and then I merged them all together. So it was just me going booch 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 boo 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 boo. That was a whole recording, and I did the whole thing so that it would repeat perfectly too.
What with your voice?
with my voice doing all the parts. Yes.
All right, right. So beatboxing.
It wasn't really beatboxing. It was more like I was like this. Okay, I was like booch 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 because that was what the drum sounded like, and then I'd be like boo 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 boo. And I recorded the whole last song like that. And then I converted it to like I think a wave file or something, or I don't remember, MP3 maybe I took, and I used that as my ringtone for like a year.
ピポじゃじゃ
You use that as your ringtone for it.
That was my
Well,
ringtone. That was my phone ringtone.
nobody would call you though. That's the thing. So how would you hear
I basically almost never did, sadly.
it? Well, except when your mum called you, right?
No, my mom would text me.
じゃじゃーんピポ
My mom wouldn't even text me when my dad had. My mom wouldn't even call me when my dad had a heart attack. She sent me a
じゃ
text
じ
to
ゃ
tell
ー
me
んピ
that.
ポ
She sent you a text to say your dad's having a heart attack.
Yeah, she sent me a text and was like, "Oh, hey Emily, just letting you know your father's having heart surgery right now." And I'm like, "Hey, what?" She was just like all real casual about it. She's like, "Okay, well, I love you. Have a good day at school." And I was like,
That's like my freaking family. I'm always the last to hear about stuff. Okay, you know when stuff happens in my family.
"No, you know when I'd hear it is when my brother is the one who always calls. He never texts. He always calls. I have no idea why. He just feels like he has to call. He called me up and I'm like, yeah, well, what can I do for you?" He'd be like, "Oh, sister, we have not spoken in many moons. How are you in your travels of education?" I'd be like, "Why are you talking to me like this, Will?" That
You
was
must too many uh oh what the fuck.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that's exactly what it was, actually. He
Yeah,
was like obsessed with it.
じゃじゃ
Lord of the Rings or Robin Hood, you know.
No, it was
Robin
Lord of
Hood.
the Rings. Will was obsessed with Lord of the Rings, and he would call me and talk to me like he was one of the characters. But anyways, that's the only time that I would hear my ringtone where I like did the entire thing. Welcome back, Coda, by the way. Where I did the entire theme song of Casino Night in my voice only.
Yeah.
It sounded so. I wish I had that recorded. It sounded so fucking funny. Like seriously, it was just me going booch 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 booch, and then like over top of that boop 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 boop.
Yeah, beatboxing, that's what I said. You just
It's not.
beatboxing.
That's not beatboxing.
It is
It is
beatboxing.
not. Coda, tell him that's not beatboxing.
When you overlap, like when using your own voice,
No,
make a
no,
tune or make a beat,
no,
that's
no.
beatboxing.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's
It
not. No, it's
is.
not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, 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 no. It's not.
It's
It's not.
it definitely is.
It's not. No. But yeah, that's the thing I totally did, yeah. And that was my ringtone for like a year or two, which I would hardly ever hear because no one ever called me.
Yeah, nobody ever called me either.
I know,
I don't
it's
know
so
why I
sad.
don't know why I had my first mobile phone, because like when I had my first mobile phone, I forget, well, who can I call, Um, my parents obviously, but you know, that was beside the point. I think I had one friend on there maybe, but that's about it.
My
Uh,
parents literally only got it for me so that they could contact me in the case of an emergency because I was like on the other side of the state, like 4 or 5 hours away. So
oh yeah, my parents didn't give a shit where I was at, so they just I got the mobile phone on my own accord, yeah, they didn't give a shit. So
that was only when I went to college. I wanted one in high school, but my parents were like, "Who the hell would you even call? No one calls you." And I was like, "Well, that's true, okay, but this is why no one calls me because I'm not cool because I don't own a cell phone, mom." That's why I wasn't a cool kid because I didn't own a cell phone. 100%. It's not because I was a total nerd. It's totally because I didn't have a cell phone. It's holding me back for my cool potential. That's what it is. For sure. Ignore the earlier parts of this conversation where I told you about all the times that I was a fucking nerd and how I bought two different versions of the same game in order to compare them. To just ignore that. That's not why I wasn't cool. It was because I didn't own a cell phone. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. For sure. For sure. That's it.
but I
Anywho.
think yeah, I think you should end the stream
That's what I
because
was about
like
to say.
Tyler's probably got things to do, and
Yeah. And I mean, we've been talking for like, I don't know, an hour. How long can you suffer and listen to me speak
well,
endlessly?
I think you've been playing the game for, well, not the game, but no, you've been reciting your story, maybe 30 minutes or so, maybe.
Yeah, the story took like 30 or 40 minutes, and then the rest of this time has just been me talking endlessly.
Yeah. So
So,
it's not the most engaging stream, let's put it that way.
well, I just watch the first 30 minutes and then leave. It's fine. Anyways, yeah. I'll work on figuring out the game thing, and then we can, yeah, then I'll
Yeah,
stream an actual
I will
game.
connect with you as well.
Yeah.
I'll try and sort that out for you.
We'll leave Coda be so he can like uh actually do things.
Yeah, like Blender,
Poor
get back
soul.
into his Blender stuff.
Poor soul. We've been holding him hostage. uh, PT?
Pat, is that Pat? Pat right now. I'm in PT. Uh,
PowerPoint? Yeah, he's making a PowerPoint right now. Oh, Painter. Why PT?
Software
That doesn't
paint.
even make any sense. Shouldn't
That
it be
Coda,
SP?
you and your fucking abbreviations of stuff, right? You know, your abbreviations, right, could mean absolutely anything, right?
That looks good. Now, to be fair, Coda didn't come up with that abbreviation. Adobe did.
ピポ
That's Adobe's abbreviation, not Coda's. Just so we're
You're
clear.
not kidding, are you? Yeah. You know,
Looks good though. What you're working on.
but I didn't look at it. How about I missed that? Let me have a look at it. It looks like a penis.
What? It's a crystal. What are you talking about? God, you old perv. I guess because it's supposed to be paint. PT is like paint. It still should be SP for substance painter. But, you know. Yeah, it should be. It should be SP, substance painter. I guess they think PT looks more aesthetic. Only thing I can think. It does not, by the way. It does not look more aesthetic than SP, but what the hell do I know, I guess. That's why I'm not being paid the big bucks to decide on these initials.
I don't think they get right themselves a bit, to be honest, either. So
Anywho, so I'll end the stream because we've been going for like an hour and 30 minutes, and I will. Yeah, it's stupid. Why not use SP? Because that would make sense for substance painter. We should all write angry letters to Adobe to complain that they put the wrong initials for substance painter.
yeah.
To whom it may concern, I am extremely disappointed in your initial choice for substance painter. PT does not make any sense. It should be SP, which is substance painter, not PT, which I assume is only supposed to mean paint. Oh, they're refunding you for what? Oh. Oh, see, that's even more of a reason to complain because they overcharged you in the first place. So, okay, everybody send Adobe nasty letters about how it should be SP, not PT. We'll all start it with to whom it may concern. Man, they were really jipping you. All right, that's it. Nasty letters. Everybody get your pens out. Everybody get a pen out.
I got something out.
All right, we're gonna stop the stream because Mike's being a perv now, and I can tell he can't. He's controlled it as long as he can. This is his limit. He can't control it in a normal conversation any longer than this. This is his limit. I can see it already. Can see it already. We'll work on the game thing. I know, right? Stable diffusion.
Stable diffusion. Yeah, I love that. I love that. You know, I love stable diffusion. Well, diffusing is like, it's missing, expelling the confusion, right? The
What? No.
unstableness.
Diffusion
じゃじゃ
is a real word. Wait, isn't that computer thingy that generates like it's an AI that like generates images? Isn't that what it is?
Isn't diffusion where it like scatters, like
Knew it.
distributes
Freaking
a
knew it.
part, like scatters it,
No, it's an AI that
like
generates.
dissipates it?
No, it's free. It generates images and textures apparently.
Yeah, yeah, but the diffusion is a word in itself, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, here, I'll look up the definition for you, Mike, so you know what diffusion means.
I think it means dissipating, like dissipating a thing. Like diffusion. I
The
I, I don't know. Maybe,
the
maybe I'm wrong.
spreading of
I
something more widely.
Finding something more widely. Yeah. So you're dissipating it. You're basically you're taking something. Okay. Well, let's just like sand. Okay. For example,
Oh
you're taking
God.
sand. Okay, and you're spreading it about. So you're dissipating it, right? You're dissipating the sand.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically. I think what Coda meant was like that. I would, stop doing what I'm doing and dissipate it in the sense
No,
of like,
Mike, no. He's referring to Stable Diffusion, which is an AI program that generates images and textures.
why would you say that though?
Because then you can use it to generate porn.
I didn't get that.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Is that what you meant, Code? Is that literally what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, okay. I'm gonna end the stream because, like I said, we've been going for like an hour and 30 minutes of just like pure talking, basically. So, and I'm gonna work on figuring out how to get the game working so I can stream it next time or like later or something. So, have a good one, Koda.
Have a nice beer, mate. I'm having beers too, so kudos on you. And yeah, we'll catch you again, mate.
Toodles.